If you're watching this video, you're either considering hiring us as a law firm after a car wreck, or you've already made the decision to hire us after a car wreck or some injury. We make this car wreck checklist so that you make sure that you follow steps that maximize your claim at the early stages of the case. The early stages of the case, like within days of it happening. The car wreck checklist is a link you can click on. I want to talk about each one of those items real briefly just to tell you and sort of comment on why they're important. One of the first things is you always want to get a police report, because believe it or not, when they leave the scene, no matter how contrite they may be at the scene, people always think, it's just human nature, when they get away from the scene, they start thinking about who else can be responsible. I mean, you can think about this in your own life, right? You've taken responsibility for something. Maybe it's a fight with your spouse. Maybe it's something else. You get away from the situation. You're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, that really wasn't all my fault, right? You start dreaming up, thinking about, fabricating, whatever it is, ways that you're not responsible for whatever just happened. Well, that happens especially in a car wreck where they have an incentive to not be responsible if there's no documented proof that they are. In Florida, they will issue a ticket 99% of the time, and because of that, it sort of cuts off the legs from any argument that somebody else was responsible for the wreck. So always call the police if you can. Take pictures and document not only your car, but the other car. This is important. I had a call that came in this morning. Somebody was in an F-350 with a big tow package. They were hit by a car, a smaller vehicle. The smaller vehicle was totaled. The motor fell out of the smaller vehicle. The airbags went off the smaller vehicle. It was smashed to smithereens. He said the motor was actually outside the car of the other vehicle. His truck, you could barely tell that it was a wreck from the pictures. So if you just took pictures of the car, right, that's involved, that doesn't have a lot of damage, and you didn't take pictures of the car that looks mangled, you're only getting half the story. So, and you want the better half of that story later, potentially, for your case. So document the scene, document the cars. We have an investigator that will go and do this, but many times we can't access the other person's car because we don't own it and our client doesn't own it. So it's important that you document all the pictures and videos of all the damages to all the cars at the scene. Number 3, don't sign anything until you've got a lawyer or you've talked to one, because insurance companies know this. They have stats on this. The sooner they get to you with their offer for $1,500 or $2,500 just to settle your case, the more money they can save. So don't sign anything releasing your rights. They're going to offer you money. They're going to try to give you things, and they're going to say, all you need to do is sign this document online. And it ain't going to appear like it did in the old days where they show up and they hand you a piece of paper and you have time to read it. They're going to email you something on HelloSign or whatever, and they're going to ask you to click, 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 and you're going to be clicking away, signing stuff, you're not even going to know what it is. And you're going to release your claim. The document is called a release. It's called a bodily injury release. You don't ever want to sign that. I just tell people don't sign anything. That way you're not ever going to accidentally sign a bodily injury release. Number 4, insurance adjusters. This sort of ties into that. Insurance adjusters for these companies get bonus based on how many cases they settle within hours of the wreck. So they're incentivized to get these things done. I've had them say all kinds of stuff. They have no obligation to tell you the truth. They're not ethically bound by any principle to tell you the truth. And they don't many times. So they will call you and tell you things that make you think that it ain't going to help to have a lawyer, that it's don't hire that guy, he's just going to charge you a fee, and I'm going to give you as much money as you're going to get anyway, blah, 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 blah. Anything they say is complete bullshit. Don't at all take anything they say as anything more than puffery to get you to sign off on some BS settlement, okay? The property damage claim, that's what everybody's worried about in addition to their injury claim, right? Everybody's worried about how I'm going to get my car fixed. Can I get my car fixed and not get the injury? The car claim's separate, so don't worry about it. Even if you get a lawyer for your injury case, which I'm advising you to, your car claim is not going to be slowed down because of the injury claim. The adjusters want you to think that so that they get you to settle both things. They're separate. They're always separate, and they're never slowed down. The car claim is not going to be slowed down. The property damage claim is what it's called. Is not going to be slowed down because you have a bodily injury claim with a lawyer. Don't believe that. Unless you have rental car coverage on your own policy, you're going to be getting the rental car from the at-fault driver. That is not going to happen immediately. That takes several days sometimes for the at-fault driver's insurance company to not acknowledge they're at fault and then contact you. That rental car coverage is going to come from their policy most of the time, unless you have rental car coverage on your policy, which most people do not. Keep in mind, if they're at fault for the wreck and you need a rental car that day, you're probably not going to get it unless you get it, and then you're entitled to be reimbursed from the rental car once the at-fault driver's insurance company acknowledges they're at fault. Social media after a wreck is not a good idea. Here's why it's not a good idea. You post a picture of the car wreck, right? Everybody wants to do that. You post a thing that says, I'm okay, but I was involved in this wreck. And then underneath that picture, you got all these people saying, oh my God, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Oh my God, are you injured? No, I wasn't injured. And you have no idea what your injury is, right? You have no clue. I promise you, you have no idea. So the more you say you're not injured, the more you help an insurance company when you find out later that you are in fact injured, that you have a disc injury that you couldn't have perceived until later. So that's why it's important not to talk about car wrecks on social media. You can't erase it. It's on Facebook server, it's on TikTok server, it's on Instagram servers, it's not on your server at home. You can't do anything with it. The data doesn't belong to you, and they're going to get it at some point if this becomes a case. In Florida, the first $10,000 of your medical expenses is paid by your car insurance, not the at-fault driver. Really important. They pay 80% of your medicals and 60% of your lost wages. It's called no-fault coverage. It's also referred to as personal injury protection coverage. It's really important for you to know that when you go to the ER, you're going to be giving them your car insurance, not the other driver's car insurance. You're going to be giving them your car insurance for that. If you miss wages immediately following a wreck, that's also paid out of that same $10,000 out of your car policy, not the other parties. To get the lost wages, you have to get a PIP lost wage form from your company. That's how you do that. And last but not least, most permanent injuries from car wrecks, I'd say 90% of them that we handle, are not diagnosed in the ER. The fact that you get released from the ER does not mean that you do not have a permanent injury. It only means that you're not going to die or have a loss of limb or sense in the next 24 or 48 hours. They're not there at the ER to rule out and diagnose every injury. They're only there to rule out the most serious life-threatening or limb-threatening injuries. Once they've done that, you are somebody else's medical problem, not theirs. So, just because you get released does not mean you don't have a significant injury. If you need us, you can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com. I appreciate you. If you've already signed up with us, I appreciate you signing up with us. If you're considering hiring us, the thing I would tell you, as maybe number 10 to this list, it's not official, is if you don't hire me as your board certified civil trial lawyer, make sure whoever you're talking to, the lawyer that you hire, the actual person handling your file, is board certified in civil trial. Only 1% of Florida lawyers are, and you can't compare apples to apples unless you have apples and apples. So the lawyer you're meeting with, that you're signing the contract with, not the person in the ad, but the person that's going to be handling your case, if they're not board certified, I would caution you to maybe second guess who you're hiring. Hire somebody board certified. If it's not me, there's a handful of other people in this area that are board certified that handle these kind of cases. Hire another board certified lawyer. Don't just hire a random person at a firm because they have an ad. Okay, you're hiring a lawyer, you're hiring a human being. So hire the one that's most qualified for your case and that's going to handle your file, him or herself. Thank you. Reach out if you need us.